Gang, mate, welcome back to a slightly different Oxygen Not Included video. This is about external resources, and today I just want to cover the first one, and that is the Oxygen Not Included database. Now, the database is extensive, I'll say that much. It's extensive. Like, you know, you might have been in a game, you might have had some lead, you might have taken some lead and accidentally melted it into molten lead, and you were curious, you know, molten lead is at 327.5 degrees Celsius, but ever curious on what you actually have to do to get lead to a gaseous state? Well, it turns out if you heat it up to 1,749 degrees Celsius, it turns into a gas. And this is really all what the Oxygen Not Included database is. It's a quick reference. I actually use it really regularly just to look things up rather than booting up the game. You know, what is the specific heat capacity of aluminium ore compared to aluminium itself? And I can actually, on two separate tabs, look up these sorts of things and quickly have a reference between the two of them. At the same time, you know, you might be curious about what might block your satellite scanners. And that has to do with how much light is blocked when they're up in space. And you might see, you know, carbon dioxide has a light absorption rate of 10%, whereas let's pick chlorine has 20%. Diamond tiles, so yes, diamond tiles actually has a light absorption rate as well. So as the light comes through diamond tiles to get to your satellites, they'll actually be less effective just because of the way they work. Ethanol as a gas is 50%. Who would have thought it? So yeah, just different stats about all the different elements of the buildings. Elements of the game, along with buildings. Like buildings, you know, there is a whole list of all sorts of everything you can think about. Like, you know, what is the actual decor of an aeropod? Funnily enough, the decor of an aeropod is really hard to find. It's not actually written in the game until you put a plant in it, and then you have to subtract the amount of decor the plant gives. It's just one of those weird things. It's not actually listed on the building itself. And, you know, obviously, if you make an aeropod out of diamond, it has a decor modifier of 100%. So if you make aeropods out of diamond, they're now worth 20 decor rather than the original 10, all that sort of stuff. So this is a very powerful tool, and it covers your elements, your buildings, your critters as well. Like, what are your different critters? How do I get stone hatches? Well, it turns out, you know, stone hatches live for this long. Their reproduction rate, where are we? Reproduction rate is, well, this is what they eat, and if you feed them sedimentary rock, you're going to get a higher chance of stone hatchling eggs. If we go back to normal hatches, we'll see sedimentary rock gives stone hatches, dirt gives sage hatches. If we swap them over to wild, we get a lay egg every, you know, whatever the period is. If they're wild and glum, how many calories they need. Tame and happy, you can see they eat, well, they consume a lot more calories per second compared to wild and glum. That's a really cheap way, or wild and happy. Tame and glum. You know, you can change all the different options and try and work out how you want to do your critter ranches. Dense puffs. Dense puffs are another one, like, you know, they consume 83.33 grams per second of oxygen and give you out a 79.17 grams of oxalate, so they actually have a 95% conversion. Stone hatch, same story. You can look at the different conversion rates. It's always 50% for a stone hatch. It does fall down to 25% for the different metals when trying to convert them over to a smooth hatch. Sage hatch is a little bit of a funny one, and again, the only way you find out is by actually looking at this sort of stuff and see, hey, sage hatches are actually much more. They convert things with a 1-to-1 ratio, but they only consume, you know, dirt, algae, slime, fertilizer, and food resources. And honestly, you do not want to feed your hatches food. They'll happily eat food, but yeah, plants and seeds, same story, you know, full list in here. Wheezewort, that was one that was updated. How much heat is deleted, depending on the type of gas that you actually have your wheezewort in. So we can see hydrogen is definitely the best case here, but natural gas is not too bad. Propane is definitely good, even though propane's actually not in the game by default. It does actually exist in the game, but you can't currently access it. Maybe in a future DLC or something like that, it'll be released. But yeah, you can get the heat deletion for all the different types of gases for a Wii Sport, which is something that, without a lot of extensive testing, you just can't find in-game. Food, same story with all the food. You can see, your meat is good for 1,600 calories. It spoils in this amount of time. What's some of the ones that don't spoil? Pickled meal. Spores time. It still does spoil. It takes a long time to spoil, but it will spoil. Nutrient bars will spoil. Some of these things that you have the impression never actually spoil, turns out they still do spoil. It's just a significant amount of time. 600 seconds is one cycle, so that's what, 15 cycles or something? Space materials, or space planets and space artifacts and the actual comets. So you can see the different comet types, what they actually drop. Some drop lots and lots of regolith. Others drop iron, which we've seen before. Gold comets actually drop gold amalgam. And we've got copper ore coming from sky now as well. So you can actually get copper, gold, and iron directly from the sky. You can see the different types of planets and what sort of artifacts that you can get from different types of asteroids, along with what the different artifacts are. And again, if we go over a table view and we actually scroll down, we can see like the best decor items are tier 5. We have a moon with a decor rating of plus 80 with a decor radius of 7. And these are all the different planet types they're available from. And there's one other one here, self-contained system. Again, same story, same stats, very, very effective at bumping up the decor in your base. And again, these are all those things that you find by browsing the Oxygen Not Included database. Same with volcanoes. You can look at the different volcano types and where a min-max might be. So, eruption period ranges from this, percentage, and you can actually even put in your details of your volcano if you choose not to run the actual average calculator mod that I'm actually running in my series. But you can put in your details and it'll actually give you exactly what your volcano is going to put out. So, we're at max pressure, average emission rate, 200 grams per second, eruption period, 1500, no, hang on. No, 480, we're just putting in the bottom stats to 10, no. Active period, 50%. And I obviously typed in one number here wrong. Whatever. I need real stats rather than this to work out. But yeah, you can bring up all your different volcanoes, your geysers, and all that sort of stuff, and actually get real-world numbers, along with, what does a minor volcano puts out? It puts out magma at 1726 degrees. A volcano is the same amount. A steam vent puts out steam at 500 degrees Celsius. Cool slush geyser, you can look it up. Polluted water at minus 10 degrees. Chlorine geyser, chlorine at 60 degrees. You can bring up the different stats on your different geysers. Medicine, same story. You can bring up what the actual different medications do, what you actually need to create them, all that sort of stuff. Very, very handy, along with heat stroke. My dupes keep getting heat stroke. What does that mean? Well, their science goes down by 5, their machinery goes down by 5, their construction goes down by 5, and their cuisine goes down by 5, and it lasts 180 seconds. Yeah, not too bad. Hypothermia, same story, same sort of problems with a bit of added sneeziness. Sunburn, sunburn actually lasts for a decent amount of time. Zombie spores, you can look up zombie spores and see how dangerous this is for your dupes. This is probably the only thing that actually kill them. Slime lung, you can see, okay, slime lung is going to last for, what's that? 3.5 days. But, doesn't really affect them too much. And we can see that if you happen to have a germ-resistant dupe who has a vitamin chew on regular difficulty, your chances to get sick are fairly slim, actually. If you have an immuno booster, it's even lower. So, whereas if you go the other way, you can have a fair decent chance of them getting sick. You can also look up food poisoning and say, hey, if I have iron gut, anybody with iron gut is completely immune to food poisoning, even on the hardest difficulty. So yeah, all that sort of stats. along with others. So you can look at, you know, what gas grass requires, what a jet suit requires. Anything that sort of didn't fit in any other category, like the 2 poke shell malts. So we've got the little one for the babies, gives you 5 kilos of lime. The big one gives you 10 kilos of lime. All that sort of stuff is in here. So yeah, the Oxygen Not Included database is a tool I have been using for, I would guess it years. I've been using it for a very, very, very long time. It is very effective at trying to look up details and stats on things in a hurry, well, without booting up the game, or even, you know, if you're curious, if you wanted to melt rust. If you melt rust, you get iron gas, and if you cool iron gas back down, you get iron. So, you know, all that rust you got hanging around your base that's not really doing much, try work out a way to heat your rust to 1500 degrees Celsius to then literally cool it down, 1 or 2 degrees, and you'll cool it back into iron. So you can convert all your rust into iron for basically just the expenditure of power, of heat energy, and convert iron to rust at a 1-to-1 ratio. You know, it's something for you guys to think about between, you know, this session of your Oxygen Included playthrough and the next section of Oxygen Included playthrough. You know, throwing rust into a volcano is a really, really good way to get it back to turn into iron. How you're going to convert that iron into something you can use now it's 1500 degrees Celsius is definitely going to be a problem for you guys to work out. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this video. I really hope you guys enjoy. I will link I will put down in the description, very, very top link to the Oxygen Not Included database. Like I said, it's a really, really helpful resource. It is thoroughly updated very, very often. In fact, it's normally updated within a couple of days of the game having major patch updates. And you'll probably find already a lot of the MEEP stuff has not made it here yet, but I expect it'll be here in the next couple of days. Anyway, actually, it will be here in the next couple of days because I remember reading a post saying some of it's here. No, it's all here already. Even though there are some problems with some of these machines, as according to right now, because yeah, it's the update's not working perfectly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.